Hi, this is Kath. Welcome to Psalm 17. This is a really heavy psalm, and so I'm excited to get into it and see what David's doing with it and how he's praying. So first, let's read a verse and pray, and then we're going to jump right in. And I am in Psalm 119, and we're going to look at verse 43. Never take your word of truth from my mouth, for I have put my hope in your laws. God, we do pray that you would never take your word of truth from our mouth, that we would constantly be speaking your word, preaching your word, talking about your word, listening to it, mulling on it, meditating on it, God, and that we would find truth in your word and we would find delight in your word. Amen. So let's look at Psalm 17. We're going to use our paper, and I already started to write on my paper because we can clearly see this is a prayer for help as we read it. But what I'm going to do today, instead of reading it first, we're going to do some categorizing of the sections because I think it'll make more sense if we have this already done before we read it. So I'm kind of doing it a little bit out of order today, but I want you to write down that it's a prayer for help. And then what we're going to do is we're going to divide up the sections. So the first section from verses 1 to 2 is his first plea. And we'll see that as we read it. So now I'm going to read this just so you can see this is his first plea. Hear me, Lord, my plea is just. Listen to my cry. Hear my prayer. It does not rise from deceitful lips. May my vindication come from you. May your eyes see what is right. So there's his plea. Then the next section we're going to call protestation of innocence. He's protesting and saying, I am innocent. And so this is this section. It says, though you probe my heart, though you examine me at night and test me, you will find that I have planned no evil. My mouth has not transgressed. Though people tried to bribe me, I have kept myself from the ways of the violent. Through what your lips have commanded, my steps have held onto your paths. My feet have not stumbled. So there he is saying, I am innocent. Then the next section is 6 through 9. Now on my paper here, I have to go 6 through 8, and then I'll come up to 9 up here. But 6 through 9 is his second plea. It's coming back again and calling on the Lord. And this is what it says. It says, I call on you, my God, for you will answer me. Turn your ear to me and hear my prayer. Show me the wonder of your great love, you who save by your right hand, those who take refuge in you from their foes. Keep me as the apple of your eye. Hide me in the shadow of your wings. From the wicked who are out to destroy me, from my mortal enemies who surround me. And so that's this is part of I'm just going to write second plea on this part too, is just so that I don't get confused later. Then the next section is basically his complaint against the enemy. What is the enemy doing? And that is going to be from 10 through 12. So from 10 through 12, and we're going to write complaint against the enemy. Now you can see that when I'm writing this in on this paper, I'm using my Micron. The reason I'm using my Micron is because this is how I would mark it in my Bible, and the Micron doesn't bleed through, and I like to make the lines like this with a pen that does not bleed through. So complaint against the enemy. Here's his complaint. They close up their callous hearts, and their mouths speak with arrogance. They have tracked me down. They now surround me with eyes alert to throw me to the ground. They are like a lion hungry for prey, like the fiercest lion crouching in cover. Okay, so there's his complaint. Then we go back to another plea for God to move, and that's going to be verses 13 and 14. So it's going to be this section here. And this is going to be his third plea. And here's the third plea. Rise up, Lord, confront them. Bring them down. With your sword, rescue me from the wicked. By your hand, save me from such people, Lord, from those of this world whose reward is in this life. May what you have stored up for the wicked fill their bellies. May their children gorge themselves on it, and may there be leftovers for their little ones. Then we have one little extra verse here. And this is his final like declaration of trust. So after I have called out to the Lord, now I have this declaration of trust. As for me, I will be vindicated and will see your face. When I awake, I will be satisfied with seeing your likeness. So that gets us all categorized, because I think it's going to be easier to work through some of this if we know this is what he's praying, this is what he's asking. So let's go back to the first section, which is his first plea. And he says this: "Hear me, Lord, my plea is just. Listen to my cry, hear my prayer." Now, interesting, again, for me, when I listen to that, I go, he says the word hear or listen 3 times. Is it the same word, or is it 3 different words? So, of course, I'm going to go to Bible Hub and look this up, because to me, I just want to know, is he asking for help in 3 different ways, or is he saying the same word over and over and over? So we are in Psalm 17, and this is going to be verse 1. So here is Bible Hub, and we are in Psalm 17. And it says this: a prayer of David, hear. So the first here is 1732. Then it says, "Hear Yahweh, my cause is just. Attend to my cry," 7181. That's a different one. And then, "Give ear to my prayer," 238. That's a different one. Okay, so it's three different words. And so what I did was I went and looked up all 3 of the words. And I found, I don't want to say is interesting, but is also confusing for me, because what happened when I looked up these 3 words. So we've got the word hear, the word listen, and the word hear. The first hear, so I'm going to write hear, listen, and hear, just so I have the 3 words. And then the first word hear is 8085, and it is Shema. And we have heard this word over and over, Shema, meaning hear and do something. It's not just listen like words that I'm hearing. Then the second one is listen, and it's 7181, and it's the word kashab, Qashab, kashab. And the third here was 238, and it's the word azan, Azan. So we have 3 different words. Well, then when I went up and looked at their meanings, because I thought, oh, they probably all mean something a little bit different. They actually all mean the same thing. They mean to listen carefully and to heed, to pay attention, to listen, to give heed, to pay attention. Like, that's all 3 of these. So then I have to ask myself, why use 3 different words to mean the same thing? And here's why. You have to remember that this is poetry. These are songs, okay? So if I'm writing a poem, I don't want to use the same word 3 times. I want to use, like in our English language, what we would call a synonym, another word that means the same thing, but it's not the same word, so that my poem, my song, is more interesting. And that is just what is going on here, is we're using 3 different words to say the same thing. It's just this cry from God to listen, to pay attention. So what I'm going to do down below here is just write, it means to pay attention, to heed. In other words, hear my cry and do something. That's really what all 3 of those mean. And that is his first plea, is just, God, hear my cry. And then he says this: my plea is just. And whenever I see the word just, I'm always like, okay, we need to look that up. Is that the word tzedek? Because that's that word justice. And so I'm going to circle that. And we're going to look up the word just. And I'm going to write down, okay, so we're going to look up the word just. And indeed, it is exactly what I thought it was, and that is 664. And this is one of those words that's becoming familiar because we see this word so often in the Psalms, is tzedek, and it means righteous. Oh, we don't want to use the same color. I usually do my definitions in light blue, so righteous. My plea, my cry is righteous. In other words, I haven't done anything wrong, and I'm crying out to you because and he even says that it doesn't rise from deceitful lips. I'm not doing anything wrong. And then he goes down and says, let my vindication come from you. May your eyes see what is right. And again, that word vindication should be another familiar word to us that we have seen often in the Psalms. And I'm going to look it up just to show you vindication, because it's another one of those, again, which should be familiar. So let me grab my iPad and we're going to look up those words. So here it is in Psalm 17:2. From your presence, my vindication. And if you can see already, there it is, Mishpat 49:41. Now, Mishpat is one of those words we've talked about several times. 49:41, Mishpat. And Mishpat is what we have been calling restorative justice. Restorative justice. In other words, God put things right. Put things the way they should be. That's what Mishpat is all about. It's justice that makes things right. So he says that's what's going to come from God. God's going to make things right. And then he says, though you probe my heart, though you examine me at night and test me. And again, here we go again. I'm seeing three words that all, in my mind, seem to mean the same thing. Though you probe my heart, though you examine me, and though you test me, those all seem to me to mean the same thing, just like our hear, listen, hear. And so let's look up these three and see if they all mean the same thing. And is this just another poetic way of saying something? So we're going to look up probe, examine, and test, and see if those words mean something different. So the word probe is 974, and it's the word bachan, B-A-C-H-A-N, bachan, and it means to examine, to try, to prove. To examine, so we can already see, look at, there's the word examine, to prove, and to try, which to me is the same thing as test. So let's look. This is what verse is this? Verse 3. So we're going to go to 17:3. And it says, you have tested me. You have tested me. 974, Bachan. You have tested my heart. You have visited me in the night. You have tried me. 6884, with nothing, and have found I have not purposed to transgress in my mouth. So this version here uses the word you have visited me instead of examine. But then we also have you tried me. And so that word is a different word than tested. So let's look up that one. You have tried me is 6884. And I'm just going to, again, sometimes I do it and I just tell you, but let's just look it up so you can see. If I click on tried me at 6884, and the definition is to smelt and to refine and to test. So it's close to the same thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come down here to the word test. I'm not going to do anything with the word examine. 6884. And it is the word T-S-A-R-A, saraf, T-S-A-R-A-P-H, saraf. And it means to smelt, to refine, and to test. Now, this word to me means a little bit different than the word bakan. I think this feels stronger because when we're talking about refining gold or refining silver, and it's a process that you use a lot of heat to get rid of all of the dirt. So to me, that's a little bit different, right? So you probe my heart, you're examining it, you're proving it, trying it. And then this word in the version that we saw in Bible Hub was the word visit. Though you visit me at night and you test me. So this is where he's digging deeper. But even when you dig deeper, you see that I have planned no evil. My mouth has not transgressed. And so here we see, again, he's talking a little bit poetically again here with those three words kind of meaning the same thing. But again, it's just his way of saying, even though you've searched deeply into who I am and how I work, you have seen that I am not planning evil. I am not being deceptive. My mouth has not transgressed or sinned. And then he says, though people tried to bribe me, I have not kept their ways. I have walked away from what they're doing. And then we go to his next plea. I call on you, my God, for you answer me. Turn your ear to me and hear my prayer. See, there it is again. There's the turn to me, hear me. Again, my mind goes, I wonder if it's one of these three that we already have. So I'm going to turn there and just look quickly because, again, I'm hearing those same words. I would assume it's some of the same some of the same that we already saw, but maybe not. Maybe it's something brand new. So we're going to go to 17:6. I have called on the Lord, and you will hear me. Incline your ear. That's another way to say hear, right? And what I'm seeing with this is two more ways to say the same thing. So let's come up here, and we have for you answer. I call on you, my God, for you answer me. Turn your ear and hear my prayer. So in Bible Hub, I have called upon you, for you will hear me is 60:30, and incline your ear is 51:86. Totally different. Incline your ear to and hear me 80:85. Oh, wait, 80:85 is one of the ones. Okay, so we have here and here. This here, the first one, turn your ear. So we're going to write turn your ear so that we know the difference between the two. So he's asking him to turn your ear, and he's asking him to hear my prayer. So hear my prayer. And turn your ear is really, he's saying incline your ear, turn your ear. Turn your ear to me is literally saying turn your head, incline your ear. Okay, so then this here, so this just means incline, like incline your head or bend your head. So that's not really a word to mean here, but this here, this one here is 80:85. And I'm not going to write the definition for that because 80:85 is up here in that Shema. So here he is again, Shema. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll just come over here and I'll write Shema, Shema. Hear my prayer, Shema my prayer. Because that again is that heed, listen, do. So bend your head so that you're close to me, and then Shema my prayer. Show me the wonders of your great love, who you saved by your right hand. So I thought, oh, wonders. I wonder what that word means. Show me the wonders of your great love. So let's look up that word, wonders. Because I think that's an interesting word. So we're going to look up that. So we're going to come over here and we're going to write wonders. And it is Strong's number 6395. And it is the word Palach, P-A-L-A-C-H, Palach, wonders. And it means, this is interesting because I thought it would mean something like magnificent or something like that, but it actually means to be separated. Or to be distinct. Now, interesting, because when I hear the word to be separated, I automatically think the word holy. To be holy means to be separated. So he's saying, show me the wonders of your great love. God's great love is separate. It's distinct from any other kind of love that we could ever see. So I thought that was just neat. And then, of course, my mind went to, ooh, great love, great love. Now, we've been doing this enough that in your head, and maybe you're not thinking about that, but for me, it's automatic. When I see great love or unfailing love, I want to know if that's Hesed. And it probably is. But whenever I find it, then it just gives me more understanding again. So this is verse 7. And so we're going to go to 7, and it says, show loving kindness. See, they're saying show your loving kindness. And then if we come over here, it's 26:17, and I know 26:17 is Hesed. And there it is again, Hesed. Okay, so show me your great love, 26:17, and that's Hesed. Now, we have talked about Hesed often, and we will actually talk about it again in a later psalm that I just recently was breaking down, because it's just such an amazing word. It's God's affection towards man because of the covenant that he's made with us. And so we'll get into it again more, but that's just, I love that, knowing that. So his Hesed is distinct and different from any other love that you will ever find anywhere on this earth or anywhere. So I just think that's really neat. Then he says this statement down here that is confusing to me. Keep me as the apple of your eye. Hide me in the shadow of your wings. Now, hide me in the shadow of your wings makes a little bit more sense to me. It sounds like a mother hen. Her chicks are hiding under her wings. So that's talking about shelter. But what does it mean when it says, keep me as the apple of your eye? And so what I did was I went on Bible Hub and went back to, okay, so here I'm still on Hesed. So we're going to go back. And we're going to look up a commentary and see if we can figure out what that statement makes. So first of all, it is verse 8. So we're going to go over to verse 8. And then we're going to push com for commentary instead of the Hebrew. And then what you're going to get is all these different commentaries that you can read through and see if they will give you some understanding on what the apple of my eye means. Now, I already did that, and I typed out, and again, linked below, you're going to see notes for Psalms 16, 17, and 18. And in those notes, you're going to see this one little piece here that I did. And what I found was, I thought the Cambridge commentary and the pulpit commentary off of Bible Hub, I thought explained it the best. And so I typed that up, and I'm going to glue this on my sheet here and in my Bible so that it makes more sense to me. So the Cambridge commentary said it's an emblem of that which is tenderest and dearest, and therefore guarded with the most jealous care. So the apple of your eye is a symbol of the tenderest and dearest part of the eye, and you have to guard it with jealous care. And then the pulpit commentary said, proverbial expression for anything particularly precious and liable to be injured unless guarded with scrupulous care. I love that, because he's saying, keep me as the apple of your eye. He's saying, guard me, protect me with scrupulous care, right? Because that's who God is. I want to glue it in here, but we have a problem in that I've already written right there. And I really do want this right here so that it's right by the apple of my eye section, right? So what I'm going to do, because I can't glue it in now because I wrote right there, is I'm just going to take some tape and I'm going to make it into a flap. So I'm just going to put it right here, right in the middle of that page. and it's just a little flap. So it's here right next to that, but then I can open it up and I can see what's below. So that's how I did that one, just so that I've got that information on there. That really helps me understand the apple of my eye much better. And then as we're looking through this, I felt like there wasn't a lot of other sections that needed explanation or just jumped out at me until I got to this one line down here. So let's look at that. It says, by your hand, save me from such people. Now he's talking about above, he's complaining about his enemy. He's saying that they're arrogant. They close their hearts are callous. Their mouths are arrogant. They track me down and throw me to the ground. They're like a hungry lion. And that's what he's saying here. So then he says, rise up, Lord, and confront them. By your hand, save me from those people. But then he makes this line, for those of this world whose reward is in this life. That to me is like, can you imagine in this life that that's the only reward you have, is like winning some war or winning some battle? I mean, really, what is there to live for? You work to achieve, or you work so hard and then you just die. And that's really what he's saying for the wicked. The wicked don't have an eternal reward because they're not living for the Lord. But for those of us that are living for the Lord, we have this eternal purpose, and everything we work towards and work on when we're working for the Lord is as we say, receiving and or working towards an eternal glory. What a difference than just those whose reward is in this life. That is just scary to me. And then he goes on to say, may what you have stored up for the wicked fill their bellies. In other words, he's talking about here like justice. When you come and you condemn the wicked and you destroy them, for the wicked would fill their bellies, may their children gorge on it. In other words, may their children also be destroyed because of the way they're living. And then may their little ones feed on those leftovers. Such a graphic way of saying destroy my enemy. And that's his third plea. So again, if we want to make a list, which I like to do when I'm looking at this, what are the things that David is praying for? So if we go to his sections on his pleas, his first plea, what is he asking? He's saying, hear me. I mean, and he's saying it many different ways, but he's basically saying, hear me. Hear me, listen to my cry, hear my prayer, hear me. That's his first prayer. Then his next prayer is, let my vindication come from you. I know that justice is going to come, and it's going to come from you. You are going to be the one that's going to set things right. May my vindication come from you. And then he prays. We go down to the next section. This section here, from 6 down, is another part, his next prayer. And again, we're seeing, turn your ear, hear me. That's the same thing, but this is a new one. Show me the wonder of your great love. So that's the next prayer, is show me the wonders of your great love. And then the next prayer would be, keep me as the apple of your eye. Hide me in the shadow of your wings. Hide me in the shadow of your wings. And then, let's see, we'll come up here. From the wicked who are not, destroy me from a middle of some. So then let's go down to the third plea. Rise up, Lord. Confront them. Bring them down. With your sword, rescue me. So there's some more prayer. Rise up, confront them, bring them down, and rescue me. So in a nutshell, those are the prayers of David. And again, because I like lists, you could just come over to the side here and write that all down as a list. So I'm going to come over here and I'm actually going to make the list. So I'm going to write prayers of David. This is what David is praying for in this psalm. So he's praying, hear me. He's praying, vindicate me, vindicate me. And then we've got the Show me the wonders of your great love. Keep me as the apple of your eye. Hide me in the shadow of your wings. I wrote ire. In the shadow of your wings. Okay, so hear, vindicate, show me, keep me, hide me. And then we have the rise up, confront them, bring them down, and rescue me. And I think this is just a good psalm to look at when we're struggling. What a way to pray. You know, hear me, vindicate me, show the wonders of your great love. Because really, realistically, if I can live in the wonders of your great love, then some of the stuff that I'm going through probably won't bother me as much as it could. Confront them, rise up. What a way to pray. So what is God speaking to you through this psalm? What is it that you needed to hear? Share it with us in the comments. I would love to hear what you have to say. And what you got out of this psalm. Lord, I thank you that you are a God that does listen, that does hear our plea, that does rise up and do something. I thank you that you love us and that we are the apple of your eye, and we pray that you'd keep us there, that you'd protect us, that we would be precious to you. I thank you for all that you're doing through these psalms. In your name, amen. Amen. Thank you for joining me today. Hope that you got something out of this, and I hope that this will maybe even change the way you pray. See you next time.